Okay. So is my screen visible? Okay. So just like if you want, if suppose I want to learn English language, then of course there are some rules and regulations to learn in English language, right? There are bunch of things like we need to learn, like punctuation
Mom, we don't
marks.
hear your audio.
Okay. Sorry, I just forgot to unmute the mic. Okay. So, okay, so let's suppose I want to learn English language. So there are bunch of things we need to learn in English, right? Not just speaking, not just writing. There are bunch of things in writing as well, right? So if suppose I want to learn English writing, then there is a bunch of things I need to be considered, right? Like punctuation marks, grammar rules. So there are so many things. So to learn English language, right? So in the same way, if we are going to learn C++, right? So there are also bunch of things which we need to consider to write any instructions. Okay? So one of them we are going to learn today, which is termed as tokens. Just like in our English language, there are some words like punctuation marks, different grammar rules. So in the same way, there are a term which is used in C++. This is tokens. So we are going to cover what the tokens is, all about tokens, and how many types of tokens are there, all bunch of things. Okay. So what we are going to cover in this we, class, the first thing which we are talking about is tokens. Yes, of course, what are tokens is all about, what are the syntax of these, and why we need all these. Then we are going to learn about keywords, right? I have used so many words where I told you that this is a keyword, like I have written the four, right? And I told you that this is a keyword. These are the reserve words, right? I have termed this as a reserve word in C++. So we also are going to cover this keyword. Then we are going to look for identifiers. What are the syntax of identifiers, or whom we are called as identifiers. Then we are going to look for some expression. It will be covered in more detail, but here in this session just a small one. Okay, and then we have already covered this one, basic data types in C++, but I will explain a little bit of this as well in this class. Okay. Okay, now the next one, key. What are tokens? So the smallest individual unit in a program are known as tokens. C++ has following tokens. So the smallest unit means what? If I write a, let's say I have written a statement, I am a girl, right? So this is the whole is termed as a statement, right? But the individual are termed as a word, right? This is a word, This is also a word. So a statement is a group of words, right? But how do we create these words? Using characters, right? So if I told you that what is the smallest unit of this statement, what would be the answer? Smallest unit of this statement? Characters, right? So the smallest unit of this statement is characters. We have created this whole statement using the smallest one, which is termed as characters. I is a character, a is also a character, m is also a character. So we have grouped these characters to create first words, and then these words are grouped together to become a statement. Okay. So in the same way, in our C++, the smallest unit is termed as token. So everything which is going to be some other name, but the whole thing is created from what? These tokens. Okay. So tokens can be divided into keywords, identifiers, constants, strings, operators. Okay, so these are all have been defined using the tokens, or we can say these are the subcategories of these tokens, because token is the smallest unit, right, of C++. So the whole other things will be derived from these smallest units, right? Just like in our example, the whole characters group together to become word, and then these words group together to become a statement, right? So in the same way, we have keywords, identifiers, constants, strings, operators, all are these derived from token. So as you know that software is a program, we write instructions to the computer, right? And this instruction is termed as program, and a bunch of program means maybe 100 or 1000 of programs will group together to become a software. Just like we use MS Word, so this is what? A software, right? So the Microsoft team has developed this software by writing maybe 100 or thousands of programs, right? So, and a program is that which contains set of instructions, and an instruction contains some tokens. So what are those tokens? These are the tokens. These are the derived from tokens. So just like in our in English language, we have learned so many things like punctuation marks. In the same way, while writing instructions or writing program, we need to learn these tokens first, right? Because for writing English language, I need to be familiar with the characters, words, and the meaning of the words. Only then I can write the English language, right? So in the same way, we are going to learn about tokens. So the first one is keyword. What's a keyword is? C++ language have some reserved words. I already have to repeated this reserved word so many times, right? Reserved words, yes, which are called keywords of C++ language. There are the part of C++ tokens. So keyword is again derived from tokens, right? Because the tokens are smallest unit. Now, how many keywords are there in C++? There are 63 keywords currently. Okay? And C++ is a case sensitive language. What does this mean? And it requires that all keywords to be in lowercase. So the two things which is you need to keep in mind is that keyword is derived from token, okay, and the second one, we have 63 keywords, and this one, keyword, what is keyword actually? So keyword is a reserved word. In English language, if I write dog, right? So this is a meaning that this is a dog, right? We have given some pet as a dog, right? I have given the name of this. So in the same way, when we write keywords, these are the reserved words for C++. So whenever the compiler will see these reserved words, they will identify easily. And C++ is a case sensitive language. What does this mean? Case sensitive is basically means that if I write and AI and main in small, then it will be accepted. And if I write something like this, so this will not going to be accepted by the compiler. It will shows the error, right? So it basically means that we have already defined which will be the in lowercase or which will be in higher capital letters. So suppose I have declared a variable int num in small letter, okay? And now I have declared num, and now I have declared an whole in capital. So these three will be different memory locations, okay? In memory, these will be different locations. The num is name is same for three of the, right, but the characters are different. Here we have capital letters, here we have n capital and in small. So these will be treated as different variables. So this is what a case sensitive means. There are other languages which are not case sensitive, right? Just like SQL. SQL is not a case sensitive language. I can write select like this one. I can write select this one as this one. These whole three is same, because SQL is not a case sensitive language. So that's why it will not differentiate these threes. But C++ is a case sensitive language. So you need to be very careful while writing the keywords and while writing your variable names. If I declare num this something like this, I need to use the same characters, same capital or small combinations only. Okay? And there are 63 keywords, right? So what are these keywords? So these are the keywords: auto, bool, break, class, default, export, for loop. We have used this one, right? This one we have used. We are going to use all of them one by one, but for now we have only used only some of them, right? And I have explained this bool type variable, character type variable. So these are the keywords which we already have used. So when the compiler will see that if I will write something like this if, so the compiler will understand, okay, so this is if, which basically means there will be must be a condition inside this, right? So these are the reserved words.
Okay.
All right, so I hope you have a little knowledge of keyword right now. And now the second one, identifiers. What are identifiers now? So again, this is derived from tokens. Identifier refers to the names of variables, functions, arrays, classes, etc. created by programmer. So we are programmer, right? We are programmer. And if I am going to write any program, then I am going to use some function, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use any function, any variable, and I'm going to give some name to the functions, right? If I am going to declare two variables for some purpose, then what I will give? Int num1, num2. And if I am going to write an add function, then I will write int add. So these are the names of variables and functions. We haven't studied about arrays or classes yet, but you can think of these three right now. So these are the variable names, and these are the this is the function name. So whatever the name as a programmer we give to our variables or functions, that name is termed as identifiers. Okay, so
Alright.
identifiers. So this statement says everything. Okay, following are some rules. So there are also rules which you need to be keep in mind while giving any names to your functions or variables. Only alphabet, character, digits and underscore are permitted. We already have seen rules for giving rules of variable names. We already have studied about this, right?
Yeah, sure.
Can you explain a few of them?
Yeah, we talked about the
Mm-hmm.
the
Uh, okay,
integer.
let me ask a question to you. Okay,
Alright.
5 and we have talked about variable names, rules for defining a variable name, right? So is this
Yeah.
a right, is this a right, is this a right
No,
variable name?
I thought it's not right
It's not right. Why?
because we cannot start with the numeric value. Rather, we can only start with the alphabet.
Yes, we cannot start the variable names or functions name with digits. So here we can see that it is has a digit, right? So the
Yes.
variable names or function names, or you can say identifier names, can only start with characters. So this is add. Okay, so this is an acceptable variable name or function name. But digits is also, if I write add 2, which basically means it is going to add two numbers, so I can, this is also a acceptable
Acceptable.
variable name. But what, I cannot use something like this. Why? Because it has started with 2, and the first character of the first character the first
Hello?
character, so yes.
Yes, please. I'm just listening to you, but I have a request.
Uh-huh.
Normally, I have a tendency where sometimes I lose your communication, sometimes disappears. So your recording, when you do a recording, it helps me to revise areas which are not gotten clearly, and even I can even ask a question.
Yes, I am recording, don't worry about that.
Oh, thank you. I am not. Okay, we can go on. So I heard of you talking about the tokens. Huh?
Yes. So now we are
Yes.
talking about identifier names. So we already have learned about the rules rules for giving variable names.
Yes, the rules of giving variable names.
Yes.
Yes.
So the variable name.
Those ones I'm following, but what I've not gotten clearly,
Mm-hmm.
that if you ask me at the moment, for example, what a token is, and maybe the token and identifier clearly, that's why I've run somewhere to get the network.
Don't worry, you can watch the video later.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay.
Go on.
So what are the rules of giving identifiers, name of identifiers? So the first character should be, the first one is, first character should be a alpha, should be a
Yes.
character. It cannot start with special character. What are special characters? At the rate, hash. There are some background noise from where it is coming. There are some background noise, so I muted to all you guys. Sorry for that. Okay, so the first rule says that the first character should be the first one should be a character. It cannot start with digit or special characters. Special characters like at the rate, hash, space. This is the underscore, this one is a space. So we can go for add something like this, we cannot go for something like this because it is going to start with a digit. So this will be not acceptable, this is acceptable. And now we can start the name with an underscore as well. So something like this one is acceptable. We can start with a character or a underscore as well. We can have digits in between or at the last, something like add 5 or 5AD. These are all acceptable. Okay, so only alphanumeric character digit are. The name cannot start with digit, we already have learned this, right? So the name should not start with digit. Uppercase and lowercase letters are distinct, which basically I have explained to you that int, num and num all are these three different variables. So these uppercase and lowercase letters are distinct, meaning if we have declared something like this, this will be a separate variable name, this will be a separate one, and this will be also a separate one. These are three different. Okay, and the third one is, and the fourth one is, a declared keyword cannot be used as a variable name. This is very important. We already have learned about the keywords. Keywords are reserved words, okay, and we also have seen some of the keywords like for, this is a keyword, if, this is a keyword, else, this is a keyword, right? Switch, this is also a keyword. We have seen few of them right now, but we already have learned about these, right? So these are the reserved words in C++. We cannot take this as a variable name. So suppose I want to create a variable to check some conditions, so I can declare int if. I'm going to use this as my variable name. So this will generate an error. This will say that if is a reserved word, if is a keyword, you cannot use this as your variable name or your function name. Okay? So I hope you have explained. I have now the expressions and their types. What are expressions? In mathematics we have seen so many expressions like x plus y is equals to z, z plus y plus x is equals to 0. Bunch of expressions we have learned about in mathematics, right? So in the same way we have some expressions in C++ language as well. So what are expression? An expression is a combination of operators, constants and variables arranged as per the rules of language. Okay, what are operators first? We have learned that this is a combination. Combination of what? Operator plus constant plus variable name. So we have already familiar with the variable names, right? We have a little bit of familiar with this constant as well. Constant something like, I will write directly 5. Instead of writing int a is equals to 5, I can directly have 5. So this is termed as constant value. Instead of using any variable space, I can directly use this one, right? So this is termed as constant. So okay, constant and variable is okay for us, but this one is not okay. Operators. What are operators? So in operators are basically the symbols. These are the symbols to perform any functions like plus. This is a operator. For what purpose? For addition purpose. This is minus. Okay, so this is also a operator. For what purpose? For doing minus operation. This is a multiplication operator, which is for multiply purpose, right? So these the symbols are termed as operators, nothing more than that.
Okay.
Okay, So what is expression now? Expression is a combination of operators, constant and variables. Just like in English language we have seen what is a statement. If I ask you what is a statement, then it is nothing but a group of words, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
in the
sure.
same way, expression is a combination, or you can say group of operators, constant and variables. It may also include function calls which return values. I will explain this a little bit later. An expression may consist of one or more operands and zero or more operators. Let's first see an example. So there are bunch of expression types. We are going to learn one by one each of them. For now, let's first and take an example. So this is a combination of operators. Okay, so suppose I have a variable called sum, and also provide comma and num1 num2. Now I am going to define or declare or create an expression, something like this: sum is equals to num1 plus num2. Okay, so as you can see, we have variables, we have operators, right? We can have directly values as well. I can write something like this: sum is equals to 5 plus 5. So this is also an expression which has a combination of variables and constant and operators, three of them, right? So this is termed as an expressions, and there are bunch of type of expressions. We are going to see one by one, and you can now this line we will learn when we are going to learn about functions in our next session. Okay, so as you can see, there are bunch of expressions types: constant, integral, float. We are going to look one by one each of them. Constant expression, I already have told you what is constant. So this 5 is a constant. Why? Instead of taking a variable int num is equals to 5, I can just directly have a value for something like this. So a constant expression consists of only constant values.
Alright.
And we are going to see an example for this. So this 15 is a constant expression. Can you see this? This is a combination of constant values, right? So this is also an example of constant expression. Okay, so enough about constant expression. What are integral expressions? Integral expressions are those which produce integer result. We already know what is integer. We declare int short for integer, right? Which can store up to 4 digits value only. So an integral expression is what? If the calculation of the expression will return integer value, then it will be termed as integral expressions. We are going to see an example for this. So here you can see, here m is an integer value, right? Let's suppose I have declared a variable called int num and given some value 2. Okay, so m is what? The value 2 will be the result of this, and this is an integer value. So this will be termed as integer expression. Now here m we can replace m with 2 now, right? So 2 into, suppose n is 1. So 2 into 1 minus 5. So this is again going to give some integer result, right? So this will be again integral expression, something like this. Now let me explain this one. Pi plus int 2.0. So the first and the last condition of to be a integral expression is that the result should be in integer, right?
Yeah.
No, but now here we can clearly see that this is not an integer, right? This is a float variable, float value, because we have decimal values, right? So how can we it an integral expression? How can it be?
I don't get.
Uh, the condition to become an integral expression is what? The result should be integer value only,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
Integer value only. And now I am going to add something like this, 5.2.0. So it is going to return what? 7.0. Is this the integer value? No, it is not. It is not. So this will be not in integral expression, but I want that this should be an integral expression. Then what I can do, I'm going to use the convert. I am going to convert this float value to integer type. Then after adding 5 plus 2, it is going to return 7, right? So how can I do that? How can I do that? There is a termed typecast, meaning converting from one value type to another value type.
Okay.
Okay, converting one value to another type value. So what we are going to do here, this is of a float type, but I am going to convert this into integer type, right? So this term will be used here, typecasting. So how can I do that? The simplest way, just enclose within this braces and write whatever the type of value you want to convert. So I want to convert this value into integer type. So I will write int and I will just pass the value. So this will be converted into integer. Now 5 plus int 2.0. So now this 2.0 will be converted to integer first. So it will be converted to 2 and this will be 5 here and this is going to return 7. Now it is of integer type, right? So this is an integral expression. So the only thing you need to remember is that integral expression, the result should be in integer format only.
Okay.
Now the float expression, same as integral expression. There we need to have a result as integer, and here we have result as of float type only. So the result should be in float. So float expressions are those which after all conversions, we have just converted from float to int, right? So after all the conversion, produce floating point result. So the result should be in floating point values only. So here we have examples something. So here x and y, suppose two variables of float type. X is equals to 5.0, float y is equals to 2.0. So now the result of this one should be 7.0, right? So this is a float type value, so it will be come under this category, float expressions. And here what we are doing, just the opposite of our previous one. There we have converted float type to integer type, right? But here we are doing the just the reverse. this 10 is of integer type, right? And we need to have this as a float expression. That's why we are converting this into float type, as you can see here. Now the 10.0 plus 5 the result will be 15.0. Now the second one, relational expressions. This is the most one which we are going to use. Relation expression result of type bool, which takes a value true or false. So previously we have only integer result in integral expression, float result in float expressions, right? But in relational expression we have only two values. It can be true or it can be false as a result. As a result, we have only two options. Just like we have seen in our previous examples, if 5 is greater than 6. So this is what? An relational expression, because it is going to return what? Only true or false. So for this time it is false, right? But if I write something like this, so what is going to return this? This is going to return true. So only two values as a result will be, whether it can be true or false only. So relation expression is what that.
Okay.
Okay.
Get that?
When an arithmetic expression are used on either side of a relational operator, they will be evaluated first and then the result compared. Let's take an example of 6 is greater than 5 plus 1. Is this a relational expression or not?
This is a relational expression.
Yes. Is it or not?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. What exactly will happen first, whatever the value is there in the right hand side or left hand side, it will be calculated first. So 5 plus 1 is what? 6. So it will be something like this 6, and then it is going to compare. Only then it is going to compare. Now it is going to return true or false. So this time it is going to return false for us. So this is what here we have. They let's on either side of a relational operator, they will be evaluated first. So here what we are doing, we are evaluating the result of this one. After that we are going to declare as a relational expression.
Alright.
Now relational expressions are also known as Boolean expressions, because it is going to return only two values, and in Boolean value we already know that the Boolean value can only store true or false, and in relation expression we are also going to have only two results, true or false. That's why it is also termed as Boolean expressions. So here we have some examples. If x is less than or equals to y, m plus n is greater than 10. So we need to know the values of n and m and n. Then we are going to evaluate this value, and suppose the value is getting 101 after adding these two values, and then we are going to compare and it is going to return true or false. So these are all the examples of relational expressions.
Alright.
Now basic data types, as we already have discussed this one, but we have now some new members. So C++ data types. There are three types of data in our programs. First one is user defined data. Suppose, what are user defined? First of all, suppose this is my memory, right? And suppose I want to store my age value or the user age value. user's age value. So age will be definitely of integer type, right?
Yeah.
So we can take the value as integer type. Okay, that's enough. Now suppose I want to store the names of users name. Then which data type I can use? I can use a string. Now let's suppose I want to store how much money they have. Money. So for money I can use float data type. Okay, that's very enough for storing these values. Now now suppose I have a situation where I want to store something, a combination of these three. Suppose I have a user and I want to store everything about that user, whether his name, whether his age, whether he is maybe money, what money they have, where they live. So these are the things of a user, right? So we have different data types for different values, but not a combination of all of them at one place, right? So there is no variable, no in data type which can store everything. So that's where user defined data types come into picture. We have built-in data types. Already we know some of them: integer, float, string. So these are termed as built-in data types. And one of the new one is void. Void means what? We haven't discussed about function yet, so let's skip this for now, right now. So built-in data types of integral type. Integral data type has integer and characters. So I think it will be quite confusing for you guys to understand this right now. Yeah, I should not include this one right now. Okay, skip it for now. I'll add this page on our different slides. No, for void. Okay. So,
Okay.
so now the practice part. If you guys have any questions or have any doubt, you can let me know.
Okay.
So,
Anjuna,
yes, please.
I actually have issues with the basic data types and asking about tokens. At first, the meaning of that token. Can we say token is the same thing as comparing it? Can we say token is as alphabet in English language? Just a comparison now.
Yes, we can. That's why I have explained to you the English language first. We have seen that in English language, the smallest unit is characters, right? The first
Yeah,
thing
sure.
which I need to know is that A to Z, right?
Definitely.
These are the smallest unit. So in the same
Oh,
way, tokens are same. Just like if I write 4. So as you can see, this is a keyword, right?
yeah, sure.
But how do we have written this? F, O and R, right?
Yeah,
So this is
sure.
a keyword, but it is derived from our tokens. So
Okay.
just same as
Okay.
our characters, we can compare this. Definitely we can compare this with characters.
All right. So the second one now, the data types. I think you've taught us one kind of data type before now, but this seems different, very
Yes,
different.
yes,
So,
yes, yes. These seems different because in previous sessions we only have seen about built-in data types, which is already present in C++ language. Like if I want to store some integer value, I can use this int, right? So what is,
yeah.
how we have a short form of integer? So this integer int is already defined in C++. That's why we call this as built-in data type, which means it is already there in C++ language. But there are so many situations in real scenario and real, suppose I am going to create a software to for let's take an example of FB. What you see usually, you see an image, written something on a post, right? So
Yeah, sure.
for storing image, what do we use? Is there any built-in data type? Can we store this image inside this integer? No, we can't. Can we store
Sure.
this in string? No, because the limit of a string is to store any statements or words, more, not more than that. Character, no, we cannot. So as you can see, we do not have any data type which can store image, because image is actually what, a combination of small pixels, right?
Yeah, sure.
A combination of small pixels is formed in such a way that it became a image, right? So we do not have any data type available in C++ to where we can use for now. For now we cannot use any build of data type to store our image. So that's where we declare our user defined data type. We are going to define our own data type, our
Yeah.
own data type,
Okay.
right? So I will explain more about this one, because I need to cover up something like functions or operators, more about operators, and then it will be more clear to you guys that what the user defined data types, what are the classes, functions, and all that stuff.
All right. Ma'am.
Okay, so tokens are the smallest unit, keywords are the reserved words, identifiers are the name of variables, functions. We haven't learned about functions yet, but we have learned about variables, right? So the name of variables or functions or class, the name which we assign, right? So the names are termed as identifiers.
All
And
right.
in mathematics we have so many expressions we have learned in mathematics. In the same way, if I am going to have some expressions which is not directly in values, but the expression will be evaluated with some result, right? Suppose I write 5 plus 5, so this is also an expression, and this expression is going to return 10, right? An integer value. So this will be termed as integral expression. If it going to return any float expression. If true or false, then it will be a relational expression.
Yeah, sure.
And there are much more expressions yet we need to explain. But for now, I have only discussed about these three.
All right. No problem, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And the second thing,
Okay.
after the class, I'll give some program based on if else, for loop, very simple questions, and
Okay.
you need to practice those questions.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that's it for today's class.